My younger immigrant self would just be to integrate more. Honestly, that's something that I really, really missed out on in really learning about what it meant to be Canadian, leaving Canada and be successful here. If I could go back and do anything differently, I would have friends from all races, not just Africans. I would build a very diverse community for myself. I would go to events, I would attend things because it would have made me so much more knowledgeable and experienced about this place. And certain things that I've ended up going through myself and learning the hard way I would have skipped the line.
Hi, my name is Immigrant, and welcome to Growth is Personal. Each week, I share insights and strategies that will equip you to accelerate your personal and professional growth and bring you conversations that will empower you to thrive in life, career, and business. Hey, welcome once again to Growth is Personal podcast. Today we have a phenomenal guest. I'm so excited about our conversation today. She's someone who I have watched from afar, and then we got closer recently, at an event. And she has been someone I've seen do great things, and I admire what she has been doing and what she does for not just for the community at large, but also for the immigrant community as well. So I'm really excited about our conversation today. Florence needs no introduction. For those who are, in Canada, she has been she's a familiar, or, I don't want to use the word popular face, but she's a familiar face because I don't want to, but popularity now is overrated or overused, but she's a familiar face to the immigrant space. And she has been a very phenomenal guest on different platforms. So we're excited to have Florence on the show today. Florence is a highly accomplished professional, the visionary founder behind the success story of InfoPlace Canada. InfoPlace Canada, if you don't know it, go check it on Instagram and the website as well. It's a premier virtual Canadian consulting firm headquartered in Regina, Saskatchewan, my city. Established in 2017, InfoPlace Canada specializes in simplifying the immigration process for international students and immigrants, offering a diverse range of programs. Additionally, the firm collaborates with employers to facilitate the hiring of foreign workers, contributing significantly to the Canadian immigration landscape. A chartered professional accountant, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and an astute business strategist, Florence Akpan has been the driving force behind InfoPlace Canada's evolution from a solo endeavor into a thriving organization with a dedicated team of nearly 20 professionals. Over the past 6 years, the firm has assisted over 5,000 clients hailing for 40 different countries. That's amazing. 40 different countries. That's phenomenal. Thank you so much, Florence, for being a part of this show. I know it's going to be a great conversation. Do you have anything that I missed in terms of your introduction? Just tell us about yourself to our audience.
No, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm so happy to be on the show. Thank you, Emeka, for inviting me. I think this is going to be an interesting conversation. As you all know, my name is Florence Akpan. I'm almost 20 years in Canada. So almost 20 years ago, I came to Canada myself as an international student. And the journey has been one that I look back on all the time, and I am so thankful for the opportunity and every step that led me to where I am today. I'm most importantly very thankful for Canada because it gave me the opportunity to even live a life beyond my dreams and accomplish things beyond the things that I thought I could. Never dreamt that I would own a firm here in Canada and employ people as an immigrant and be able to do so much in this space. And that's what the Canadian system allows you to do without knowing so much or having too much of the connections or being grown up here and things like that, but still being able to build something that is what that adds value to the economy and to people around the world. It's been a journey. I'm a wife and I'm a mom of two beautiful kids. Those are the things that I always love to add in my description or whenever any thing is being said about me, because those are very, very important roles that I do carry and I do value and hold dear to myself as well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that last part, because I think it's a part, maybe we might go into some conversation around that, but it's something that is so important, especially for immigrants.
Yeah.
Navigating work and family is so
Yes.
when you look at the blogs and social media today, you see a lot of, almost like I won't call it a crisis, but you can see a lot of challenges that
Mhm.
immigrants are facing navigating work and even family. And also you
Yeah.
sharing that, and that you value that, is something that would be of benefit to people as well who will be listening or watching. All right,
Absolutely.
so Florence, just take us back, to your journey. You said you've been here for 20 years. That's
Mhm.
I'm still learning.
Yeah, you see.
Where that
Yes.
is concerned, because I think I'm going to be 8 years or so.
8 years. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 years this year, I think.
Hmm.
So 20 years. So tell
Hmm.
us about your personal journey and immigrating to Canada, and also establishing yourself in the business world. What has it been like?
Fresh out of high school, my parents said we're going to Canada. We always knew we were going to study abroad when it came to university. So that, of course, it was Canada. Applied to different schools across Canada, and Saskatchewan was the only one that gave me admission. I think I got an admission offer just based on my high school grades. My WIAC
Hmm.
result was not even out, just because that was fantastic. So they gave me admission without even seeing my high school grades. So that kind of started the journey of coming to Saskatchewan. I was really supposed to go to U of C, but I ended up in Saskatchewan. Anyway, so I came in to study. I came in as an international student. I completed my first degree. There's a long story there about my study and transitioning and what I really wanted to do to what I'm really doing today. But I ended up graduating with a Bachelor's of Commerce degree in accounting with distinction at the U of S. And after the graduation, started the journey to becoming an accountant. So I worked with the government of Saskatchewan. That was my first job, and then worked towards becoming a chartered accountant. So I was with the government of Saskatchewan in various roles. My final role there was manager, financial services in the Ministry of Social Services here in Saskatchewan. And at that point, while doing that, I always really loved one of the things that I found about Canada at the time. 20 years ago, it's not now. Like today, there is so much information about immigration, what to do, what not to do,
Right.
available online. 20 years ago, that wasn't there. Even 10 years ago, that wasn't available online. So I was just learning from the people and the friends that I had and things people went through. And I said, you know what? I need to start writing about this. Blogging kind of picked up around like the 2008, 2009, 2010.
Hmm.
Blogging was really going up. So I was like, oh yeah, I could be blogging in my spare time and things like that. So I started blogging about my life in Canada. It was like different names of that blog. If I don't remember them now, but it was like my Canada experience, my Canadian experience, whatever it was. People just love reading because I was telling things as I was discovering it. And one of the biggest discovery I had that I was like, nobody told me, was when I came as an international student. We're all looking for all these odd little jobs, sell here, do this there. Nobody told me how important it was to do co-op. Nobody told me how important it was that in the summer I could get good jobs in like the government organization and things like that,
Hmm.
especially when international students were able to work off campus and things like that. So I wasn't aware of that. And when I got my first job, I got in there and then there were 6 of us that were hired. And immediately they said 2 of the employees had more seniority than me. And I'm like, what is that? Like, we just
Hmm.
started work together. And then it turned out that it was because they had been working in the summer for the government. And because of that, they built up the seniority that applied to them. And I was like, I could have done this. I could have,
Hmm.
and I didn't know and things like that. So from that was one of the pivotal point for me that said, you know what, as you're learning the mistakes and the things you didn't know, share this so that other people don't miss out, then other people could do these things as well. And really started doing that on the blog. And as I was doing it and talking about, of course, my life in Canada, transitioning, what you should know about studying in Canada as a student and things like that. Like I probably was like the only one at the time really doing anything like that. Started growing on the blog. Lots of people were contacting, people needed help with school. So started assisting people. I actually didn't know that people would be willing to pay you to assist them find a school, the right fit and things like that. So I started doing that, and then it just grew, and then I got them the admission, and then I'm like, go do your visa. Because at this point too, I started discovering what immigration was and immigration consulting, because all this while I'd done, my parents had handled all of our immigration things to come. We're not really involved. So it was like, now I started seeing people struggle. I'm like, people get refused these things. Like, like you started discovering all of this, and people wanted help. And then I started reading more about immigration and who can practice and who can help. And that's when I discovered immigration consultant, and the fact that if you're not a licensed consultant, you can't charge a fee to offer immigration advice and things like that. So I'm one of those people that I love to do things by the book. I don't like to break the rules. So immediately I was like, no, I can't help you. This is all my work would end at school admission. Go do your study permit. But what would happen is these people would go do these things and still be refused, and they'll still come back and things like that. So with all of this conversation that I had, and then seeing what people were struggling with, and seeing that there was really a need in the industry, and the fact that there was also a lot of misinformation out there, I said, you know what? Let me try getting this license and see if I could just help a few people on the side. Like, it was going at the time, the program has changed now, but at the time I could do it part-time whilst you're working full-time and things like that. So I decided to do that, and invest about a year of my life coming back from work, going right onto online to study and things like that. And I got my license. And the goal was really just being an honest voice, being able to help one or two people achieve their goals of coming to Canada and things like that. But very quickly, I found, even after like the first year of not really having any clients and things like that, and just being very honest, if people came and there were no option, I'll tell you there's no option. You don't have to pay me for anything. If you came and things are looking hard, I'll tell you, go rest. Don't apply again. Like, I remember this lady had applied for a visa 3 times and she kept getting refused, and she had come to me and I said, you're trying too much. It's just a visiting visa. Go take a break, go to another country, do other things, and then come back. And she was really stunned because she had not seen anybody that would say that, because she was willing to pay to do it again. But I was just like, no, it's not that. So the whole premise of this is, my goal was to build this company with a lot of integrity that would even outlive me, that whether it's there, like, that if you come to InfoPlace Canada, we're helping you because we know that there is a chance that we can help you. While nothing is guaranteed, that we know that we can put in the best work for you and help you. And honestly, that just blew up. Like I said, I was working for the government. I'd gotten to the stage of management. I had a career plan for my chartered accountant role. There was no plan to really build a big business or anything like that. It was just like side hustle, and it literally blew out of proportion, and there were lots of people needing help, lots of people really wanting that service, and I had to find a way to reel it in and put in a lot of work in that upfront to build it to what it is today. And that's how I ended up doing this full time, and it's been quite rewarding, very challenging, I must say, but it's been very rewarding. So that's a little bit of my journey to where we are today.
I think you picked a very powerful name, InfoPlace, like information place. Is that correct?
InfoPlace Canada, my husband did. Kudos to him. It took us a month to figure out.
That's a very good name. Like
figure out the name of the company. So after being very stressed about it, and like we were trying so many things, he just said, babe, what do you really want this? What do you want the company to be about? I said, I just want it to be a place where people just get information about Canada. And he said, so it's InfoPlace Canada.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's you must be a creative branding design kind of person to think that out quickly. It's a very good name. It's a name that will always stand out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So let's talk about, because the focus of my conversation today is to help that, new immigrant, those who are already here, who want to thrive and who want to succeed either in their career or in business. So what has been your biggest challenge, being able to build your business the way it is today as an immigrant? What has been your biggest challenge? And for those who are coming behind and who want to also start something like that, it might not be immigration consulting, but something else. What has been your biggest challenges, and how have you been able to address those challenges?
My biggest challenge has been people. Finding the right people. And so it was something I didn't think nobody ever tells you how difficult it is to have a dream and a vision and have all these plans that you're going to hire all these people, and it turns around that you can't find them. It was a big shock, a rude awakening for me when I started coming from government. When people applied for work, when I was hiring, there were tons of applications of good candidates, not just any person, right? So by the time I started and wanted to build my own business and all of that, that was the biggest challenge. Finding the right people. For a small company, almost what you're looking for is very different from what a big company would be looking for, or what a large company would be looking for. And the fact that you don't also have a lot of bells and whistles that all these companies have. At the time when I started, I had no benefits. All I could offer you was a salary, right? Because it's a growing company and things like that. And to have someone who is going to find someone who would be committed to stay with you for that period of time, to work with you to grow the company to the time when you may be able to have some bells and whistles added to salaries, basically the benefits, it's not easy, right? So you've come into this place where for a small business that is trying to grow, that is trying to build processes, that is trying to serve clients and things like that, you want some level of continuity. You don't want to wake up. I remember the first time when I quit my job and decided to go full-time with InfoPlace Canada, I was like, I'm just going to hire one person. That's all I needed. So by the time the one person came and was doing so much, I realized if she left today, I am in a big mess. And it was like, you need another person. So again, that becomes so much additional cost to you as a business. And if you're like me, where I'm like, no, we're not taking any loan, we're going to just keep building this and keep making the money from it and things like that, then you can run into that type of situation. I know there are financial benefits and instruments out there that people can use, but one of the biggest challenge was definitely finding qualified employees, and also people that would buy into your vision, would work the way you want to, would serve the clients the way you want to, and also building. Aside from the employees, the second one would be building a business from scratch. When you walk into organizations and you walk into offices and you walk into other companies, you're just hired as an employee. Many times things are already set in place, processes are in place and things like that. But here I started this just with my business degree. And a business degree is not enough for you to build a business. You need a lot of experience from building a business from scratch. Every place I'd worked in was already established. I didn't know. It's now as I've been building my business that I'm discovering, oh yeah, this is why these certain things were always done this way. This is why this was done this way. And the truth is, every day, 6 years in, I am still learning new lessons about building and setting up a business. So on my end, it was really more of finding the right people to help serve the clients and to help build the vision of InfoPlace Canada. And then secondly was having to set up systems from scratch for the company that suits not just the employees, the system working with, but also your clientele, a system that they're able to work with and have good service as well.
People and systems. So how were you able to then get over that bottleneck, or not bottleneck, but that whole concern of people to now find the right people? What were the things you did to get the right people?
So one of the things that I had to do was realizing that every person that I hire is an investment and not an expense. Because I had to start looking at the value that that person would bring to me, and so if I was able to only consult for 40 hours a week, if I add an extra body that can take even additional 20, or maybe take off some of my consults so that I have time to do other things, what more revenue generating activity can I complete in the timelines, right? What more value can this person add to me? How much more income can this person pay themselves? given the work that I'm going to assign to them and things like that? Is that a revenue generating role and things? And the moment that mindset changed, and I realized that my employees are not an expense. I don't look at my employees as an expense. I value them so much and they add so much value. InfoPlace Canada would not be what it is without the amazing team of people that have worked with me currently now, and even those that have come and gone. So I see them as valuable assets, such important people to it. And the value they bring is what I look at more. And the moment I saw that, it changed the game for me. So when I'm looking to hire, it's like finding the right person at the right price, at the right thing that I can afford, and then looking at the value that they'll bring. And then as the company has continued to grow, we continue to add more benefits and things to our employees and to our staff to maintain longevity and things like that. Basically, they're growing with the company as well, is one of the things that we've put in place to help on that. In the system aspect of things, InfoPlace is not just me. My husband is very involved in the business as well. He's an engineer, so he's helped a lot with the system side of things, processes, laying things down in place, setting up the systems that we need to use and work with and all of that. And those have really helped us, where when you walk into InfoPlace Canada, it's just like any very established firm that you would see. We have CRMs that we use with our clients. We have internal communication processes and things like that. We have amazing document management systems and all. So a lot has been put in place to really simplify the work, not just for our team, but even for our clients as well. So that's what we did. So we had to invest. We spent thousands of dollars every year just on systems to run the firm. And again, looking at even those systems and the investment was the return. How satisfied will our customers be? How satisfied will our employees be? Are we giving them the tools to deliver excellent service? And those were the things that we did.
Great, great. You mentioned something around investment, and then you said mindset. So how were you able to, because for me, it's more about the thing that, because what we see now as InfoPlace Canada is the place, it's glitz and glamour. Like we see that it's all, helping people and they have employees, but there are things that go beyond, and that's where I'm more focused on, is how were you able to develop that kind of mindset to see people as investment? What were the things you did get to that place? Because if someone's going to start a business like that today, that's where they have to start from. So what were the things you had to do to develop that kind of mindset?
So it was really, so for me, I am, like I said before, like I'm a chartered accountant. So numbers is I'm playing a numbers game all the time, right? And one of the things in terms of the people that I've always hired, my first consultant that got on my team was actually a fresh consultant off the boat, not a lot of experience, but with such an amazing character and need to learn. One of the things that I started looking for in my employees was, I want to create a win-win situation with both of us. And that win-win situation has to go beyond even the salary. So it was something that I looked out for really well. And when I found with the team that I would have, when they come on board, they're eager to learn. They're eager to do new things. They're eager to implement things and build systems and work in a company where when you look back, you can see your impact and things like that. So that mindset for me was, and thinking about the things like, it's not always, for me, InfoPlace has always not been about Florence. It's always been about building this firm that professionals can come in and build their career, gain experience and grow. And it's also been that place where people who need immigration help can come in, whether Florence is here or not. InfoPlace Canada is able to do that. So that was always there at the back of my mind. So that also then played into the hiring process, right? To say, if Florence is not always going to be about Florence, and when Florence is not here, who are the type of people that you would want to serve your clients? Who are the people that you would think that would serve your clients and serve them very well? So all that played into that changing mindset, and also with wanting the firm to grow as well, you need those quality assets, like I would call them, quality employees who would come in and actually add value. So the moment I really cleared that up for myself, and I knew that this was the long-term goal, hiring and putting money in to get quality staff, to get consultants on the table. Admin staff and things like that, they're always there. But having consultants on the team is something that most firms still run, where the lead consultant does everything. But I have built a system where I have a team of consultants where I personally don't have to take the consultations. They have been trained and are able to do that. And that was the goal from the beginning for me. And different people have different plans of how they want to build or grow their business. But for me, it was more of that long term, that I'm not just building a firm that is all about Florence and just Florence alone, but something that can even outlive me, should I not want to do this.
Okay. So that means, from what you're saying now, so that mindset was developed based on knowledge. You mentioned, your degree or CPA, but also from a place of vision, right?
Yes.
Having a long-term focus as to what you want to build, and then walk back to do it the way you've seen it. So vision and mind and knowledge is so important to get to that place. Awesome. How are you able to navigate the cultural barriers? Now, in a new country, starting a business or even your career, how are you able to manage, overcome the cultural barriers in the new environment?
So cultural barrier and things are not stuff that I really focus on.
Okay.
And that's me being very honest. My dad had always taught me that there is no excuse. If there's somebody that can do it, then go do it. Like, I've always been in this place of, like, you can't come and say, oh, because I'm Black, because I'm a girl, because I'm this. No, go prove yourself and tell me who will not recognize it.
That's right.
And he always says there's a father to success. There's many fathers to successful people and things like that. So I was brought up that way. So for me, there's no excuse. Like, very rarely, and I always tell people that, and it might sound like I'm not open to what is happening. I would say very rarely in my time in Canada have I been faced with a situation where I felt someone was racist to me. Because one of the things that I always try to do is not do anything mediocre. Whatever I want to do, I don't want you to, like, for the longest time, people didn't know InfoPlace was owned by a Black woman. For a while, I wasn't really showing my face online or behind the business. So I just wanted, like, with the vision I had, I wanted to test that it can work and things like that, that it's okay to do that and all, right? So once you dig deeper and you go to About Us page, you'll now realize and things like that. A lot of people did, and they thought it was even, because of the name too, it was like, even some even thought it was a government Canada website, literally, right? It wasn't, right? But so what I'm saying there is, for me, I've always just said, I'm gonna do good. I'm gonna give it my all. What every other person would do to get to a certain level, I'm gonna do that, and then see what that does for me. On my team today, I have my consultants are from various countries: England, Ukraine, India, very diverse team that I have as well. I do have, I'm from Nigeria. I do have Nigerian staff as well, but I've built also a very diverse team, and also working in Canada really helped me walk through those, like, cultural biases and things like that, where it wasn't really, I never really felt like it was a hindrance to me. Maybe I've not done enough things to see that is a hindrance, but so far, with all that I've done over the last 20 years, I wouldn't say that cultural bias has impacted me in any way and not allowed me to achieve my goals. Generally, that's what I would say, and other people could say different, but for me, that has been my experience.
Great. Could you say that you choose not to focus on that, and that has been a leverage for you, not to, because I've always been a strong believer that what you choose to focus on will become your focus, and then that would then become a barrier, whatever the case may be, right? Because a lot of times you see people come, they say, oh, the system is against. I'm like, if you choose to focus on a system that is not working or something, that's what you always see, right? So would you say that was your approach, to not focus on whatever is going on around that people say, quote unquote, stops them or limits them, and just focus on what you can do and your expertise and your own vision?
Yes, that was it, the focus. I'm someone that is very positive. I believe very strongly in being able to achieve what I want. And literally everything I plan to do is going to happen so well. I'm not a very pessimistic person. I don't think about the negative or what could go until I face it. When I face it, to be like, yeah, these things can happen. These things really happen.
Right.
But the moment you see me and you talk to me, if I tell you about a plan, it's all focus, it's all positive, it's all positive. Because you know what, Emeka? In every sphere, I used to watch Oprah a lot growing up. She's a Black woman. Those are the type of people I'm like, there are people we may not be many that are doing it, but they are people that we can look to that have not allowed those things block them, have not allowed those all those biases stop them from being who they want to be and things like that. So yes, that was never my focus. In fact, it will be after someone has done something to me. The one time that I would think that I felt some sort of a racist treatment was when I went to a bank in Canada, and I always say that I'm not going to mention the bank here. This is a bank that I've banked with for a very long time. We had our first home and we wanted to buy a second property. We had the money for it and things like that. And when I walked into the bank, I don't know, maybe because of how I was looking or what have you, she just told me you don't qualify. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, so, and then remember, I'm not focused on race and being Black, being a woman or anything like that. I'm just like, there's something wrong with this lady. Like, what do you mean? Like, why would you say I don't qualify? There's money, this, what? How? She was more like, what makes you think you can own a second property and things like that? I was like, what's going on? But so it was after I walked out, as I was walking to my car, that those things started coming back. Like, is it because I'm Black? Is it because I'm a woman? Would she have done that if it was another person and things like that? That would probably be the one time that I felt someone did not treat me the way I should have been treated, just because of how I look and where I'm from and things like that. And like I said, it's not the first thing that I jump out at first. It's after that it comes in, because it's never my focus. My focus is, what are the requirements? What does it take me to get there? What do I need to do to get there? The people that got there, how did they do it? And I just want to know that. And I'm just going to work to do that. And if I do that, then it's not working. Then that's when I start questioning, why didn't it work? And things like that.
Exactly. Awesome. I think this is going to be a valuable conversation for someone who is thinking about starting a business, or who is thinking about navigating a career. Because one of the challenges I see a lot is people just have this assumption or this misconception once they come in, that is something, and it's based on people's experiences, sharing with them, say, hey, this is why things are not working and all of that, and then they carry that misconception, and then it begins to create there's something about having positive expectation and having a negative expectation, because what you expect oftentimes what happen, right? So what would you say were the strategies that you had to adapt or adopt when it comes to setting up your business and being able to go into entrepreneurship full time? Like, what were the things you had to do as an immigrant to adopt the business landscape here?
Yeah, but before I answer that, I'm going to just add a little bit to the last question, which was a lot of times when people come and face those misconceptions and things like that, I always say, you need to understand how the Canadians work. So it's important for you not to come in your way of doing things from your home country and think that it's the same here. You need to take the time to learn and unlearn certain things that were done. You have to be willing to change, to become, like them in terms of culture, how they talk to people, what the expectations are, the type of conversations that happen and things like that. You need to be willing to do that. It's not when you first come that you try to prove to them, no, you need to know about me too. You have to learn them first. And then gradually you can talk about yourself. I got to a point when I was working, people loved coming to my office just to chat about Nigeria, because it was not like an exciting opportunity, like to learn more about this culture, but it wasn't from a look down perspective, because they were able to see what quality you bring, the value you deliver and things like that. And they knew that, yes, there may be some misconception about, oh, Blacks are this, Blacks are that, but this Black is different. Let's learn more. And that gives you the opportunity to open their minds and show them more about where we're coming from, who we are, the value we bring, the exposure we have, and things like that. So very, very important that you don't carry the misconception of what people tell you, oh, it's going to be hard because you're Black, you can't do this, or you're an immigrant of any race, this is going to happen to you. Positivity and taking the time to learn the new system that you're in would set you up for so much success. And it's in the little things. Is in the little things and not the big things a lot of times. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. And your question there, you remind me your question again.
About the strategies you had to adapt to navigate the business landscape here. What were the things you had to do differently so that you, and I know you've mentioned some of them in the start of your conversation, but what were the things you had to do differently to set you guys up, to set your firm apart, even though, even as an immigrant, to make it different? What were the strategies you had to employ to, because I know you're doing something different, like you want to do something different.
Yeah, so I think it's just, I would say, that spirit of excellence. For people who know me all the way from growing up, I've always been generally top of everywhere I am in. I found myself class. That's always my goal, right? To be the best in everything I do. I'm not perfect in any way, but I strive to be every day. My competition is me, who I was yesterday, and things like that. Like, I'm always trying to do better than I did yesterday. Even on the team, my team know, like right now we're going through, we're upgrading, we're moving our systems to another system, which I found that is going to add so much value to us and even do more. I don't rest on what my success of yesterday and things like that. We're constantly looking for ways to do that. And I think from even the little stage, I'm doing things now that I dreamt of doing when I started, but I didn't have the capacity nor the resources to do that. But for every little thing I was doing, right? You mentioned when we were starting our pre-conversation here, you said you're really big on Instagram. Yes, because when I started the business, I could have been on 50 platforms all at once, but I didn't have the capacity to do that because it was just me growing the business. I have my family. I still had full-time work at the time. So I had to choose one. Right? Prioritizing was very important. So I chose one and I said, I'm going to do this very well. This is going to be the place that people get to know about me. People get to know about my clients. People get to know about our success stories and things like that. And people also get education about immigration and all of that. So I chose one and I did it. I did it to the best of my ability. So those are the things. A lot of times when people are starting out, you spread yourself too thin, and then you're not able to really hone your skills or do things very well. I was also very, very careful about we growing the business. I usually tell people, because I do business coaching as well, I usually tell people, before you go out there marketing, before you go out there calling the clients, ensure your back end is ready to serve the client. It's one thing to be all nice and fluffy online and show like I can do this, I can do that, but when they come, we want the service to exceed expectation. For every Google review we have on our page, we ask the client once or twice at a maximum. Yet our clients deliver stories. My clients have encouraged me so much that I try to write reviews now for companies because I didn't used to. But when I see what they write about the experience that they've had with us, it's a testament of what the vision that I had, the experience I wanted them to experience, seeing it put to life in their stories of what it was like working with my team. So for me, what I really did at that beginning was knowing exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to build a company that had excellent customer service. Excellent customer service. There's so many immigration consulting firms out there, but I wanted when people come to InfoPlace and they work with us, I wanted them to feel that there was a team that cared about them. We're not perfect, but we will do everything in our way to care about you. We wanted the client to feel that. A lot of times people look at business owners and like, yeah, it's all about the money. At InfoPlace Canada, it's not about the money. We want to serve you. We want to see that we can help you. If you don't meet our intake criteria, then you're not coming on. If we have capacity, then we're not taking you because we want to deliver quality at every given time. Did it cost me? Yes. maybe I'll be flying private jets by now if I took all that in and things like that. But for me, I always thought about the long term, that longevity of the business, the integrity, the quality of service that the clients have. And all of that is what led me to even investing in getting the best type of employees. And we have an amazing team of staff at InfoPlace Canada, people who are committed, who understand, and who take care of the clients when they come in. So all that was really important. And those were those foundational things that I set up, because I could have the greatest idea, I could have the best thing to do and all of that. But if I don't have the team to do it, I don't have the consultants to do it, and we're not working on our capacity, and we don't have the systems in place, it's all going to fall. It's going to fall. All it takes is 1, 2, 3 people come and say that those guys are trash, don't go there. And that's it for your business. And then you struggle, to grow the business and to get the clients and things like that.
What you just shared right now is a masterclass on its own. Like a value packed in one. Like, I'm just going to do a recap for those who didn't catch it. One of the things you said was developing an attitude or a framework or a system around excellence, where excellence is a guiding principle on all that you do. Because I think a lot of times what we see is that people, immigrant, I'm not going to generalize now, but I've seen some people, immigrants do business, and excellence is outside the window, because there's this idea that we can do something quickly to get result, we can get whatever we can do, right? So but having that idea around excellence will make you stand out. And you also mentioned around capacity, knowing where you focus it on one. So if, for example, focusing on one platform that you have the capacity to manage, rather than just doing so many things. So for example, say, oh, I want to start a business, and you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this, but you're not focused on one to become good at it and become known for it, and then you can begin to diversify down the road. So focus on one. The other one is do homework. And I think this is so important. Do your homework such that when the clients begin to come, you already have things sorted out, right? Because what happens is that people are focused when they start a business. They want to market. I want to be out there, right? But when people begin to come, now they don't have the capacity to handle them, or they don't have the system in place. So make sure that your homework is thought out well. And I mean, you like you said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to come from a place of excellence, that even the little that I have, I would do it excellently and do it well. And the last thing you talk about is thinking long term. I think this one is also very important, because what you see is people just think about now, how much money can I make now? Even in their career, like the job that pays me well now, not thinking about the long term. That is this job going to be sustainable? Is this job going to be here in the next 5 years? Is AI going to take away this job, right?
Exactly.
Thinking about the long term, because what you see right now is people making, I'm going through career now in jobs, like people making decisions about job based on what they can earn now, right? Not thinking about the long term. What kind of lifestyle do I want to live? What kind of family, where do I want to live? What is my goal? And then make decisions for job around those things, rather than, okay, this is what I need money now, and the job hop, and then they're in trouble when they go to the next place. I've seen those cases before. So these are very powerful principles you've shared. Do you want to share any other thing? Because it looks like you have something to say.
Yeah, no, I was when you were talking about that, and honestly, it spans across everything and all of that, right? It's like in the little systems of like I mean, we have a big CRM now and things like that we use, but before the CRM there was still a system of like, okay, Google Drive, Dropbox, organized for the client to upload things, how the communication was managed. It's like, it doesn't have to be big, but just start something in every little area of, okay, this is how customer service should be, this is how replies should be, just make sure that there is care in every area that you can, as little as you can. And you always know there's many places I need to be and things like that. I'm not going to get there now, but this is the journey to get there and things like that. So really, really important as well. And a lot of times when people are starting business by themselves, they think it's just me. I always tell people, as you're starting, think big from the beginning. Don't just think small, because when you think big from the beginning, every step you're taking with the business and how you're serving your clients, your customers, and all of that, You're documenting that so that one day when you get to the point to bring someone in, you don't have to scramble to tell them how to fulfill, how to serve, and things like that. A lot of people just keep doing it on the fly. I started out that way. It was a mistake I did. I learned it very quickly as I realized that, oh, this thing might be growing. So I had to get myself in order and things like that. But it's one of that advice. Start with that big picture in mind, because when you prepare like that, you would succeed even more than if you just start small, because then you miss more opportunities that way.
That's powerful. I want to say, for those who don't know what CRM means, what does that mean?
A client relationship management system.
Okay, because here we're big on education, so anything that it looks vague, I want to make sure
that to educate. Yes.
Yeah. So CRM is client relationship management. Great. And so let's go into resilience. How have you been able to? I know there are tough times. There are times where you feel like calling quits, shutting business. How have you been able to develop resilience in your journey? And for those who are coming, who are in the game now, doing business and stuff, what is your encouragement to them on how you've been able to develop resilience?
That's a very good question, because I'll be honest, there have been days that, when you build something and you realize you just can't close it just like that.
Right.
It's easy. It would be so fantastic, because I would have closed InfoPlace many times now.
And just live your life, and
I would have closed InfoPlace many times by now, because it is really tough to build a business. It's not easy. From the type of customers that you have, to employees, to systems, in immigration, I have like 3 bosses: my employees, the client, and IRCC. Those are the 3 people. And IRCC can destroy everybody, the clients, the employees, plus you at the same time. So it is a very, very, very difficult industry to be in. And hindsight, they say, is 2020. But I was thinking about reflecting on things this morning, just before this podcast. And one of the best part of what I do is when I connect with my clients and they're doing so well across the country. They're impacting, their lives are better. They just have a thank you on their lips. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for helping me, and things like that. That makes up for all of the downtime. The down days, till today, a refusal hits me like it's the first time I got it. If I get any refusal from a client, it spoils my day. I wake up every week praying so much that this week, God, I know that you said anything is possible. I don't want a refusal. Any officer who will refuse my application, let them go on vacation, please. I don't need a refusal. That's how much it means to me that we get approvals and things like that. So that would be some of the most difficult part, because in immigration, you're working in a business that you don't control your final result. You could have the best packaged application and it would still be refused. And I can tell you tons and tons of stories with clients, despite the amazing success and outstanding success stories we still have those handful of clients that were refused that you're like, this is ridiculous. Like, it shouldn't have happened. And those are really difficult, because we can't even, and as much as we can communicate with IRCC, our communication sometimes falls onto deaf ears, and you're not able to actually get the result you want for clients and things like that. So those have been the very difficult part, where you're like, am I even supposed to be doing? And sometimes clients don't understand, right?
Yeah.
Because they feel like, especially when people come and have seen the success stories, a lot of times people are like, what is your success rate? I'm like, the success rate doesn't matter. It's about your application, because I could tell you the success rate, and it could have been because those were all perfect applications that met everything. If you don't meet it, my success rate does not matter. Right. If I have 100% success rate and you're coming with a shitty application, it's going to be refused, right? So it's more about your application. So when people come and they don't really understand, that's it. But one of the things that we have done to keep us sane, our clients, we sane, is that we communicate all the good, the bad from the beginning. Because we want to have a very understanding relationship. We want our clients to know that the decision is not final. we don't make the final decision. We don't own the decision. We can't even guarantee you. As a licensed consultant, I'm not even allowed to guarantee you an approval or what. Like, I can only guarantee if I'm the officer that is going to be approving it. So we want our clients to be aware of that as well. And things like that. So all of those are the things that have helped. And most importantly too, I think for me, what keeps me going, it's a reminder. I'm a Christian and I believe a lot that everything that I have accomplished and done and gotten to here is orchestrated by God. He's made it happen. I dreamt of my dream being a child was a medical doctor. And that was a story I skipped at the beginning. I wanted to become a medical doctor. Excellent science brain, top of class, everything was fine, could have gotten into med school. And I came to Canada. And it turned out that in Canada, international students cannot study medicine. And I didn't know that. I thought that there would be a way for me to get there. And then I realized that I would have to finish my first degree, become permanent resident before, but who has time for that on international fees? Thank God I didn't.
Really?
When Naira was how much, right? Like when I came to Canada, it was like $1 to 75 Naira or something, like my dad was telling me 20 years ago when I came. Right. So I didn't end up going into medicine, tried science, didn't end up, I just completely left the science field and went into do my chartered accountant and things like that. So my life has kind of unfolded in a way that I did not plan. I did not envision. So it's like now at the stage that I am in, I can see a little bit more vision for it. Like, okay, remember when I said I was like, oh, I'll just do consulting and help a few people on the side. At that time, I was not thinking about a firm. So things have just unfolded. So when I look back at it, I feel like there is a bigger planner who controls my life and who has made things happen. You know, God has ordered things and has given me the opportunity. So the way I look at it and what has kept me resilient is that the one who has given me the opportunity to do this, the one who has given me the ability to serve, will not let me down. Because the biggest fear has always been, what if something goes wrong? What if something fails? What if something doesn't happen? What if something embarrassing? So that is my constant reminder, relying on God that He will continue to guide me. He will continue to lead me. He will not let me fall, and He would crown every single effort that I put in and bless my employees, bless my clients and things like that. So that's the biggest thing, because without that, I think I would have folded this up already, because it's tough. It has tough. Yeah.
Wow. Great lessons there. I think to highlight some of the things you said, I even wrote down prayer here. I didn't know you were going to talk about God. From what you were saying, I knew that there's a place where you had to commit to God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, for those, Christians, or if you're not Christian, the faith you believe in, prayer is so key to be able to develop resilience, and also thinking about the impact, like you said, that you make in the lives of people. Those stories you hear, keeps you going. And also something you said that was very important again was the fact that it's always not safe, not to use the word safe, but it's always a good idea or a business strategy to under promise but over deliver. But what you see a lot of times now, people just over promise that they're going to 100% guarantee is over, but you're not delivering. Right. So even if you're going to, because some of the outcomes, like you said, is not controlled by you, right? It's always important to have that at the back of your mind that sometimes, depending on your business context now, is wise to under promise, but over deliver. And at the end of the day, if you then deliver good results, all well and good, right? Great lessons there. Now,
I should add one more thing there
in
terms of resilience. And then what I want people to look at is, I also look at a lot of companies that has been around. I remember when I had to tell my family that I was going to go into immigration consulting full time. Like, I mean, a Nigerian dad who sent you abroad to study,
right?
To do what? Immigration, what? Like, I mean, they've come around, they've seen how things have unfolded. They were okay, but it was like, okay, yeah, just try it. We'll see how it goes and things like that. I mean, you already have a fantastic career. You can always go back if things don't work. And I said, no. I immediately said, Daddy, there are people who have been in this field for over 30 years. Whatever they've done to be around for 30 years, I'll figure it out, right? So that resilience too comes if there are difficult times. I look and I'm like, have there been people doing it longer than I have? So who are they? What can I learn from them and things like that? And then it encourages me. Surrounding yourself too with the right group of people. I do a lot of training on the side. I do lots of education still. I recently did this really great one just before the end of the year. Like I was with a bunch of entrepreneurs that are blowing it out of the park. And then you come out, you're like, oh, I thought I was doing something. I'm doing nothing. Like you just get inspired. So all of those are the things that have really just helped keep me resilient through and just continue to persevere and push and continue to add that impact and make the change. So just looking at finding people that you can look up to, very important.
Yeah, very important. Even as a career professional or business owner, it's important to have, I call it a frame of reference, something that gives you an idea of the ideal state, like the state you're trying to envisage. Who's the person that looks like that, right? Once you have that person, and you can not be like them, but you can study, you can understudy what they're doing, see how they do what they do, and that helps you and gives you a guide on your own journey. I think it's so important. Thank you for mentioning that. Now we're going to go, a little bit further into what is the importance of, or how is networking, and you've talked about it just this last point you mentioned, but I want you to talk more about it, because what we see is that most people come here, immigrant, and they just isolate themselves. And I think that isolation is a big issue or concern, because now isolation doesn't mean that excuse me, isolation doesn't mean that they just stay on their own. But they tend to surround themselves with people that look like them. So what is the importance of networking and building those connections that would help you, or that's helped you thrive as a business owner?
Very, very good question. And it's something that I tell a lot of new immigrants. It's a mistake I made when I came for school, very young. I just wanted people that looked like me so that I could just feel at home a little bit. And I tell people, don't make that mistake. Join those students associations, start from there, integrate, go to different churches, that it's not everybody that looks like you. I just mix, because remember what we said about they're treating me like I'm different, is because you're also putting yourself in that different box. But if you go hang out with, like, for example, like if I was hanging out with the Canadians at the time when I came, I would have known about co-op and the fact that I can get summer jobs in government and all this, because this is their zone. They own this place. They live here. So volunteer. When your workplace, go for those coffee meetups. It might be difficult to have the conversation because some things may not be funny, some things you may not be able to talk about it, but just hang around there.
I like that one you mentioned. It may not be funny.
It may not be funny, because I've had those times where you sit in the coffee room or lunch and you're listening and you're trying to understand. Just keep going. Because every day you go, you're learning something. You're getting more comfortable interacting with them, working with them, doing things like them, and you begin to understand, oh, this is how they do it. Oh, this is how they say. Oh, this is why they do it this way, and things like that. Because that's what I find like a lot of people really struggle with, that absolute figuring out how to network and how to mix and integrate with people. So I missed that when I started. It was at the tail end of my career that I started building strong relationships and connection with people outside of my race. Honestly, if you look at my university pictures, it's all of us Black. You'll be wondering if I was in Canada, because there's no person of any other Oh, that's my friend. So by the time I started working, I started building more of that connection, because now I realized at that point what I was missing out on. And even now in my professional career, I have friends from all race and everybody in Canada. I am very open to meeting with people, talking, going to events and things like that as well. As a business owner, it is so important for you to integrate in your community. This is something that for me, again, when it comes to prioritizing and things like that, with a young family and building a business, there's only so much that I could do. And for me, the success of InfoPlace was really, really important. So I spent a better part of the last 3 years on groundwork. Like there were days that I would work till 4 a.m., little sleep, you wake up again, you continue, just because I wanted it to be successful and things like that. So I couldn't do it. Honestly, I didn't do a lot of networking and things like that, or even being out there. It was just, I don't want to be out there and then this business is not, people are not being served well. I wanted to make sure I had the amazing team trained properly and all of that in place. And once I have that now, then I'm able to network more and able to do things more out there. And the networking, just the little that I've started doing more of, has been so instrumental, so beneficial in terms of finding people to encourage you on your entrepreneurial journey, finding people that can partner with you, finding people that can refer clients to you and things like that, and then you guys too. And then maybe there were people that can even have solutions to things that you're struggling with and all of that. So networking is not just about meeting people just for the purpose of, I want to get something out of this conversation. It's just learning. And it's also the fun part of just being an immigrant, being a business owner, just going out. Like yesterday, we went for the Regina Chamber of Commerce events. They had their inaugural event here in Regina. It was my first time ever going for it. It was fun. It was just nice being out there. Now I know what it's about. I know the type of people that are out there. I learned something new about how those types of events are done and things like that. It's just nice to do these things. And many times there were some immigrants there. So that was good. Because as we were walking in, we're like, how many immigrants will be at this event and things like that. And we walked in, and then the other immigrants there too were like, we were also wondering if there'll be anybody here and things like that. So a lot of times when we come, we don't attend these events that are happening in the communities and things like that. The volunteer opportunities that are there, we kind of pull ourselves away from it. We just need to go out more and do that. And then it will just make you so much well-rounded. It makes you so much more rounded because of the experience you have, the conversations that you have, that you can have with people and things like that.
Great question. I want to talk about networking a little bit more. How do you then, so for someone who is an introvert, someone who is, feels like they're not comfortable being outside there, what have you, I don't know if you're an introvert, but it looks like you probably are. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
How have you been able to, still do networking in a way that works for you? I know one of the tools I've been able to do, for me, is to create platforms as well, right? As much as I go to those places, I've also tried to create some platforms where those people come to me, and I get to. There's a common goal that brings us together. Yeah. So, what have you done? In addition to just going to the event, what else have you done that has helped you in your business to bring people of different not just race but different ideas, your way?
Yeah. So I think with it depends on if the focus is of course on business and all of that, it's really still, it would still, like, we have professional association bodies that have events and things like that. So for example, KPIC, every year there's an annual event, and I've actually made a lot of friends just attending those events and things like that. So those types of things, when you go, there's probably a room full of 500 people. You're not going to talk with everybody. Start with your table. Just get to know the people on your table. And sometimes a lot of introverts think that it's about them talking. I don't do a lot of the talking. I do a lot of the asking questions. People love to talk about themselves. People love to tell you their stories and things like that. So I just sit and just enjoy the conversation. I might not know if it would bring anything out of it, but I'm learning something listening to them. And maybe later they might just remember that, oh, someone even cared to ask about how they're doing. Someone cared to ask about their family and things like that. Maybe later I might remember if that conversation was really great and it added value to me, and I might send them a quick note. Thank God for social media. Thank God for LinkedIn, right? It doesn't need to end there. It doesn't have to be a face-to-face and things like that. So if it's a face-to-face, that's it. If it's one of those ones where it's like you really admire this person and you would love to learn from them, even if it's a 10-15 minute coffee chat or something, then just reach out to them. People, in as much as there are lots of busy people out there, there are also people that make time out in their day to give back in any little way that they can. Because for me, that's always some of the best parts of things, like those things that just come and you're able to impact a little bit into someone. So having I've had people reach out to me, and okay, there was one time like this. I think he just came. He was an accountant. He just immigrated, and he reached out and he said, "I'm looking for a job. I'll just love some tips from you how to do it." And I said, "Okay, sure. We'll meet for a quick coffee or whatever." We did, and I just said, "Oh, do this, do this, do that," and then few months later, he comes back. He's like, "I implemented everything you said and it worked. Thank you so much," and everything. I actually don't remember his name. I don't remember where he is, but just sharing that to say the networking does not have to be this big thing that it's very difficult. It can be as easy as just asking people questions about themselves. Be comfortable about finding out people are doing things that people are very easy to talk, open to talk about are things like, "Oh, how are you doing? Where do you work? What do you do? Oh, that's interesting. What type of work? Tell me more about your work. How did you get there? What type of education did you have to do that?" And things like that. "Oh, your family, you grew up on a farm. You know, what is it like?" What people are okay to say, right? In the end, you also have to be comfortable with the fact that sometimes they might not say, "I don't really want to talk about that," and things like that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But just be open to have those conversations, reach out to people, let them know why you're contacting them and things like that, and what you hope to get through your conversation and things like that as well. So that's an easy introverted way of like reaching out to people and having those conversations without feeling very overwhelmed, and also going to those events and not feeling overwhelmed. You don't need to talk to everybody there. You don't need to be on the front stage. Just on the table you sit on, the person beside you is enough connection that you can make.
Yeah, and just overcoming that, letting go of that fear of being rejected or being
Yes.
denied access. Just know that life in general is risk, and you have to just take that risk and ask. The worst that can happen is they tell you no. I know people who have reached out to for my podcast, and some of them have said no, and I'm like, okay, good.
And that's fine.
And that's fine. And some of them will say, touch base with me sometime. And there's a particular, guest that should be coming up on sometime, this year. And the first time I reached out to her, she was like, okay, yeah. And she was, this is the first guest that asked those kind of questions. What are your data? How many listeners? Like, those kind of questions can make you feel like, okay, maybe I should just speak.
Yeah.
What is your data? Who are your listeners? How many, reach? Like, whoa, okay. I had to bring my stats.
Yeah, you need to go pull your stats. Yeah,
stats to to get her on board, and she gladly accepted to be on the podcast. So that's the thing, that you have to be ready to, even if you're rejected, the worst that can happen is they'll say no, and that just makes you better. And one thing that happens is that once you make those touch points, you reach out to them, you're already putting yourself out there, you're getting that the experience makes you better.
Experience. Even if it's a no, you're getting the experience.
So if you had to share some few lessons along your journey to someone who is just starting out, who just immigrated to Canada, who is trying to start a business or their career, what are the key lessons now that, looking back, you can share to someone, maybe 2 or 3 lessons that will help them in the journey?
2 or 3 lessons. So it's like a truckload of lessons to pick 2 or 3. This is by no means the only 2 or 3 as you listen, because there is so much out there. But if you're looking to start a business, I don't even want to go into the traditional, do you have customer, you have service. I'm just assuming that you've done all that research already and you're ready to deliver. You have the customers ready to be served. One of the key things that I would say is that your customer service cannot fall flat. You have to have excellent customer service, whatever excellence means to you and whatever excellence you can afford as you start your business is very important, because for any business out there, except you're starting a business like nobody has ever done, you will have competition, and you need to have something that sets you apart from your competition. Your clients or your customers have to be able to differentiate you and what stands out and what makes it different. Because remember, people make their purchase decisions a lot of times based on emotions and things like that. It's not just because you're selling these products, but it could be that story that person has, that brand story, that backstory of the business and what they're about and what they show. So be very, as immigrants coming in to start a business in a society like this, You have to have all those things in place. You have to be ready to deliver good service as well. The second thing is don't half-ass anything. I could have done immigration work without getting a license. I could have just under the table charged people, done their visas and all of that. Don't do that, because in this part of the world, things are traceable. There are repercussions for doing certain things. And most importantly, you want to come out with a very professional front at all times.
Right.
When you have that too, your clients to look at you differently. When they know that you've checked up all the books, you've done everything, there's certain things they can't ask you to do. There's certain things they would expect from you. So if you want to start a food business, get the education for it. You want to become a tailor, get whatever qualification it is that you need to be an authority in that field. Don't just start because you're able to do something on a small scale, maybe for yourself, for a friend and things like that. Do what it takes to make you stand out, whatever it is in any field that you want to do that. And when you do that, so I talked about customer service and getting the right qualification and things like that that you need for your business and all. And then the third thing is have systems in place that would help you grow your business, build your business. Please don't use your personal phone line for your business. It's not good, because you would need to be able to separate work and life, because yes, you're building a business, but you're going to need balance.
Right.
I have this thing, once it's 6 o'clock, it shuts down. You can't reach. If you call me up at 6 to talk about immigration, I'll just tell you, I'm sorry. It's not like, it's really not something I like to do and things like that, because I like to create that balance. So as you're doing that, at the beginning, it may not really be there, like when I first started, but have it in your long term, in a very short, don't make it for too long. Have it in plan to be able to create that balance for yourself. So have systems that can allow you grow your business. If you don't have that, even if you have the best product and all, it will end up falling, or maybe it'll be so much stress for you that you start thinking about backing out and things like that. And one more thing, you said 3, one more thing that I would add there is just, in as much as we're very excited about our business and things like that, start thinking about what could go wrong, because we're living in the real world.
Right.
And there could be things that will go wrong. Start thinking about some of those things that could go wrong, so that you can start putting controls in place to limit the likelihood of those happening, so that you are not, when you are able to do that, you are able to have somewhat of a better sleep at night, and it reduces the level of stress that you have. So whatever business it is, start thinking about that and start protecting yourself. You need to get an accountant, get that accountant in. You need to get a lawyer, get that lawyer in. You need to get certain paperwork done. Get those things done to protect yourself and everything that you've worked hard for.
You just spoke like an auditor. Have controls. Have controls. And it's important, because people don't think about this when they're starting out, and they probably go down 4 or 5 years and then something else happens. So having those controls, and when you mention system, people will think, oh, what does system mean? It doesn't have to be complicated.
No,
like you said, it can just be as little as having a separate phone. You'll be as little as having a system that takes appointments.
Having a dedicated email address.
Have a system that takes your appointment and then books the calendar, and not you talking to the client, when is it time to have meeting? There's a calendar that, those little things that can be done with technology now. You know. So great point. So we're going to wrap up with 3 questions. The final questions I ask my guest, and you can answer these questions in 1 word, or you can expatiate on the word. And I think we probably have touched on some of this in our conversation, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. So what's the most surprising lesson you learned about yourself since embarking on your entrepreneurial journey? What is the most surprising lesson to you since you started?
That I'm a workaholic. That
Really?
I can that I work too much. Yeah, like I think that's the most surprising thing that I learned about myself. I think if someone told me to describe myself, I would probably say, oh yeah, I like to chill. And no, I don't know if it's just because I'm very passionate about what I've built, and I wanted to continue to grow and continue to serve people well. So you would find me, and my husband is always like, why are you going back there? What are you doing there? Like yesterday, we were about taking a break, and I was like, oh, let's just go out. It was nice, and let's get the sun and refresh. And then I was like, oh, a client decision just came in. babe, a decision just came in. I need to go back to my desk. I need to go back. It's like, no, because right now I need that help to gradually be able to unplug as well. That was one of the surprising things. And that's why I said those things up. You need to be able to set demarcations for yourself so that you don't get into this situation where it's like, I'm getting better, definitely. Like I'm getting so much better now that once this weekend I can shut off. Before I couldn't. I just keep going and things like that. So that was one really surprising thing I learned about myself. I'm like, because when I worked in the corporate world, when it's 5 p.m., your girl is out of work till the next day. I might even forget my password the next day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a powerful lesson, because you get to know some. I heard something yesterday. I was listening to a podcast and someone was asking a question to the guest that my work is so demanding. I'm so tired, and I think I want to just go and start my own business because and the guy said, wait, you're working a 9 to 5 and you feel like it's exhausting and you think that the escape is to go and start a business. Welcome. You will see that even in the business that you work more. So if you think that business is an escape from hard work, is a lie.
It's a lie.
You work more even while you're running your own business. Great. Second question. If you could go back in time and give your younger immigrant self one piece of advice, what would it be?
That's something that one I have to think about it a bit. Give my younger immigrant self. My younger immigrant self would just be to integrate more. Honestly, that's something that I really, really missed out on in really learning about what it meant to be Canadian, leaving Canada and be successful here. If I could go back and do anything differently, I would have friends from all races, not just Africans. I would build a very diverse community for myself. I would go to events. I would attend things because it would have made me so much more knowledgeable and experienced about this place, and certain things that I've ended up going through myself and learning the hard way I would have skipped the line. That's definitely one thing that I would have given myself.
Integrate more. I think that's so important. Integrate more, and that integrate is very broad. There's so many paths to integration. And I think it's so important, even in family, in life. Integration is so important. Okay, last question here is, outside of work, what are the hobbies or interests that brings you joy and balance to your life?
Traveling with my family. That's something I love to do a lot. I have 2 kids. They're at this very interesting stage in their lives. I just love seeing life through them. So that definitely, just being so, even if we're not traveling, just being home and just being with them. And we're doing nothing. We're playing games. We're just interacting, cooking, whatever at home. That just brings me a lot of joy. And what I love to do the most that involves spending is traveling. I love to travel. I love to see the world, just see different places. And whenever I travel, I'm that traveler that wants to do everything. That wants to pack the whole trip up with activities and things like that. I really love traveling. And that's one of the things that I'm so thankful about the Canadian passport, because for a lot of immigrants, that's kind of like the ultimate goal, to get there and get that passport, because it gives you so much opportunities. It opens so much more countries to you. I love the fact that when I want to travel, I just have to ask, which country do I want to go? I don't have to think about a visa. And I think that is priceless, and would always be grateful to Canada for even having the system in place that even allows other people to get citizenship. And things that I never take that for granted, because I know what I went through traveling with my previous passport. So I'm very grateful.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. And I know this is going to be of benefit to our listeners. Our listeners, we have a variety, and I think more of the listeners are Canada and Canadians, and I know it's people who are coming to Canada who listen as well. So this is going to be of very value to them. Thank you for sharing so freely and so openly. Thank you for being a part of this show.
Thank you for having me.
If you were to give a final word, what would you say to our listeners or viewers today?
If I were to say a final word, I would say bet on yourself. Go after your dreams. Don't let anything limit you. Don't let preconceived notions and what you can do and what you can't limit you.
Mm,
Just do your best with every little thing and every little opportunity you have. You may not be an entrepreneur listening to me. You may be an employee working somewhere. Give it your best. You may be an entrepreneur. Give it your best. Whatever it is that you've been blessed and given the opportunity to serve as, take it as a blessing and give it your absolute all, and you will see the rewards flow through.
great, great way to round the podcast. Bet on yourself, guys. Bet on yourself, and there's so much that you can accomplish when you give yourself that opportunity. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank
Remember,
you.
this is growth is personal. Is all about personal growth. And one thing I always say is that your growth is personal. No one is responsible for your personal growth, but you. Thank you so much. To come away next in the next episode, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube if you're watching on YouTube or on Spotify or Apple. Make sure that you like and give us a comment or a rating about today's episode. And if you have questions for Florence through InfoPlace. We'll have all the information on the show notes, how you can contact InfoPlace Canada. To come your way in the next episode. Bye for now and stay blessed. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you love this episode, share it with your friends on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our episode, and give us a rating. This will help our podcast get more visibility to those who don't know about this podcast. Remember, your growth is personal. No one is responsible for your personal growth but you. Stay blessed.